Hey guys, my name is Kyle Long. I'm an ultra runner for Path Projects, and I'm also a sports performance coach. I specialize in building strength programs for endurance athletes and in particular runners. Today we're gonna go through about a 10-minute strength workout. We're gonna focus on some quad work and also some upper body pushing and pulling. It's gonna be a great session to do on a day that you're not logging big miles, but you wanna get some work done, and it'll help you build a little bit of strength to transfer onto those trails and onto those road miles. So we're gonna start this workout off with a 2-movement complex. The first being something called the rhino complex. What we're gonna look for on this is 8 goblet squats, followed by 8 squat jumps with some weight. Then we're gonna drop the weight down and do the exact same 2 movements without weight. So 8 body weight squats and 8 body weight squat jumps. Immediately after that, we're gonna set the weight down and we're gonna do a walkout push-up. So we're gonna build a little upper body strength to kind of complement that lower body work we're gonna do. So I'm using a kettlebell. You can use a dumbbell. You can use anything heavy floating around home. Ideally, to start this, you're probably gonna wanna work somewhere between 10 and 20 pounds. So I'm gonna start off with 8 nice steady squats here. Things I wanna think about are keeping those toes tracking slightly outwards, and the knees are always opening up towards those pinky toes. In terms of my breath, I wanna hold my breath at the top and exhale as I stand into the work here. So staying nice and tall. I'm gonna go 2 more reps, and then I'm gonna transition into a loaded squat jump. So 8 squats done. Now I'm going to explode. Really good, quiet landings. We wanna focus on cushioning that explosive drive into a nice, gentle landing. It's gonna help our descending on the hills, as well as hard, flat land running. 1 more, and now the hard part. I'm gonna drop the weight down, go straight into 8 body weight squats. So I can feel the blood pumping, quads are awake, everything feels alive. I'm gonna go 4 more reps. Breathing, 1 more. And then finally, I'm going to go into my squat jump. Again, really quiet feet. I'm gonna go 8 reps, still finding some depth. Last 2. And down. So pretty pumped through the quads. From there, weight comes out, and I'm gonna go into a walkout push-up. So feet just outside the shoulders, a good hinge. I'm going to walk the hands out, 1 good deep push-up, and walking back up, nice and tall. Want to stretch the hamstrings on the way down, hands stay right under the shoulders for that push-up, and a good steady drive back to the top. 8 reps here. Again, a nice regression here would be knees to the ground, push up, knees come up, and then I walk up all the way tall at the top. So if push-ups give you an issue, we can do that kneeling rep. And we're big and tall here, back up. We'll go 2 more, finishing each rep, standing really tall and driving the hips forward. 1 more. Breath in, exhale, and relax. So this is a session that we're gonna run through everything 3 to 5 times. Weight-wise on the rhino complex, keep it pretty light at first, feel it out as you go through the sets. You can always increase as you go, but if you find yourself getting really smoked, drop the weight down, quality over everything, and we'll transition from that into some hamstring work. Coming up next, we're gonna transition and basically work the opposite muscle groups that we worked in that previous section. So what we're gonna start with here is a toe elevated Romanian deadlift, and we're gonna stack that with an alternating kettlebell row. You could also use dumbbells if you don't have kettlebells, but for demo purposes, we're gonna go through it with some kettlebells. So what we need here is we need a surface to elevate our toes on. I'm using a 25-pound plate. At home, you could use a book about 1 inch or 2 thick. You could fold up a yoga mat or a towel. Anything that can get those toes about 1 inch or 2 elevated above your heels. So what we're looking for here is heels are on the ground, feet are just inside the shoulders, and I'm going to hinge my hips back, descending down towards my toes and pulling nice and tall, squeezing through my glutes. So I want to imagine like there's a big rubber band around my waist, pulling me back towards the wall behind me and standing really tall at the top.
The reason we like to elevate our toes on this is because it's gonna get much deeper into that hamstring and it's gonna take a lot of tension out of that low back. It reduces a lot of the form issues we see with a Romanian deadlift. So all in all, it's a big win across the board as opposed to doing a more traditional flat foot RDL. We're gonna go a set of 12 here. So really deep through the hammies. You should always feel the tension here in that posterior chain and that backside. If you ever feel the weight starting to shift into your toes, you just wanna consciously sit back on your heels a little bit more and squeeze through the glutes. We're gonna go 3 more. Big pull up, 1. Holding that breath till the bottom, 2. Last rep here, and 3. So to now build into the opposite of that walkout push-up that we did the previous round, we're gonna do an alternating bent over row. I'm gonna do this with kettlebells. You can do the same thing with dumbbells. What we're looking for here is weight is gonna be between my heels and my toes. So I'm really over top of the weight the whole time. I'm going to hinge down so my butt sticks back towards the wall behind me. One bell is gonna stay in contact with the floor while the other is row towards my hip. So there's no rotation through the rest of my body. I'm really locked into place here and I'm focusing on a good steady pull, activating my lats, engaging my core, but making sure that there's no rotation through the rest of my body. If you find yourself having to rotate through these rows, it means we probably went a little bit too heavy. We just need to drop the weight a little bit, focus on staying centered and balanced, and really squeezing. We wanna get those lats plenty of work because as you break down on a long run, that posterior chain, so that glute, that low back, and those lats are what's gonna hold that posture nice and tall as we start to break down. So we're gonna go 1 more in each. Big pull, 1 and 2. So we're gonna go through each of those one more time here. Same thing, we're gonna elevate the heels, or elevate the toes. We're gonna stick the butt back towards the wall, and we're just gonna keep that kettlebell moving in a nice vertical line. So there's no forward or reverse movement. It's just moving straight up, straight down. And I'm really keeping that tension through my hamstrings. The very top of the movement, I'm squeezing my butt nice and tight, getting some good engagement. I'm gonna go 6 more here. Typically a movement, if you have access to some heavy weight, you can move some heavy weight on this. For me, this 12 pounds or 12 reps, this feels pretty comfortable, but I can feel everything moving. So it's pretty appropriate for this type of session here. And then we're gonna come back over to those rows again. We're gonna finish with 1 more sit-up pulls. Again, I stack myself up nice and tall over the kettlebells. Big breath in, holding that low position, setting the bell all the way down on the floor in between each row. For this session, we're gonna go 12 reps of each movement, and on the rows, that means 12 reps per arm. So I'm alternating a little breath out, but I'm staying really low here, not letting myself raise out of that bottom position. And those kettlebells are just returning to their home at the bottom of each rep. So I'm gonna go 2 more pulls on each. 1, 2, and 2. This is a series that, just like the previous, we can run through anywhere between 2 and 5 times, 12 reps on everything. So to finish this session up, we're gonna go through a quick little bit of core work. We're gonna go through some core work that's a little more dynamic, a little more movement based. So that way when you're out on a trail, you've got a little more stability through your hips and just a little bit more total body control. We're gonna start here with a plank with a lateral hip drop. So what we're looking for here, we're into a plank position. We wanna focus on the hands not being together here. We want to externally rotate them. So a palm in front of each shoulder. I'm gonna bring my hips up nice and tall. And now I'm gonna tap my hip to the floor and return to the starting position. We're gonna do this 10 times on each side. So a nice visual that I like to have through this is imagining like there's a spike coming through the floor right where my belt loop would be. And I'm trying to tap the floor on either side of it. What we want to avoid here is letting the hips start to drop towards the floor. We're always coming high to that starting position here. Shifting down, shifting up, You don't actually have to tap the hip to the floor. It's more of an issue of mobility. So if you feel like you cannot get the hip to the floor, this is more than acceptable. But if you have the range of motion to get the hip to the floor, awesome, go for it. We're gonna go one more here on each side. And shifting to the left. Then from here, we're gonna flip onto our back here. We're gonna go into a hollow body position. So this position is great for a variety of reasons, but what we're looking for here is the longest that we can maintain some tension, which can look like this, but we can also shorten this at any point we need to. So this would be our easiest progression. This would be our longest. When we find that position, we wanna create a little momentum and we want to rock. So this is our long position. We're gonna go 12 of these. If I needed to shorten this up, I could by flexing either the knees or bringing the arms forward all the way to this short position. We're gonna go 4 more here in a little harder position for me. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're gonna cycle through this again. Again, we're gonna dig back in, get ready for that plank. We're gonna come down, forearms, hands apart from each other. We're up nice and tall, and we're gonna get into a good rhythm. Shifting left, right, 10 on each side this set. Again, just a nice steady cadence, always coming back to that tall top position, arcing over that invisible spike that's coming out of the ground. You should feel that upper and middle abdomen light up. You're also gonna feel that low back get some work done. You think of the core too often as just the front through the abs, but it's a whole connected unit through that back. We want to train things front to back, side to side. We're gonna go one more on each side. And finally, then I'm going to flip back into my hollow position. Again, this round I'm gonna stay nice and long, and I'm gonna go 12 reps of this nice, long, hollow position, not allowing my heels to touch the floor, but seeing how close I can get to it every single rep. So I'm gonna go 6 more. 1, 2, 3, last 3, 2, and 3. So this is, again, just like everything else we did, we could cycle through anywhere from 2 to 5 times. The rep range can vary on the individual, but I like to aim between 8 and 12 reps, unless you're training for something super specific and need some longer, more endurance-based sessions. All right, guys, so that's a nice example of a session that's gonna be pretty well balanced, upper body and lower body. We're gonna wanna run through that anywhere between 2 and 5 sets, and you can do that workout 2 to 3 times a week. Obviously, if you work a little higher end there, where you're gonna do 5 sets of everything, you're gonna feel it a little bit more the next day, and it's gonna have a little bit more of an impact on your runs. So scale it to fit the runs. We never wanna make a negative impact on your run performance. The first time you run through this, you're gonna feel it a little bit more, but after that initial burn wears off, you're gonna be able to progress this pretty nicely over time.